The end of the Knicks-Pacers series also served as the end of the NBA on TNT.
I know.
After
Sadness,
4 decades
tears
of calling NBA basketball, Turner will fade off into the sunset, ceding the spotlight to ESPN, Amazon, NBC, beginning next season. You were part of the Turner family for a number of years. Did you get a little...
I did.
Pit in your stomach when you watch them sign off, watch Kevin Harlan sign off?
I mean, first of all, is it possible for Kevin Harlan to be underappreciated considering how much he does and how many people like him? I still think he's underappreciated. I think he's one of the most eloquent broadcasters we have in sports, and I feel lucky to have gotten to work on his broadcast team for as long as I did. I worked with him and Reggie for a long time. Before that, I worked with Marv Albert and Steve Kerr on their broadcast team for a long time. And then, of course, getting to work with the Inside the NBA guys was just always so much fun. Every time I got to go on that show and just be part of that group, they make you feel like family from the moment you get there. And I think that's obvious, even if you've never worked there, because as a viewer, they make you feel like family and you're part of the gang and all of that. And I think that that's rare in the media landscape these days. And I think everybody watching knew that something very special was drawing to a close. And yes, the Inside the NBA show will go on. There's some controversy over how self-contained a unit that will be within the ESPN universe. And really that's the question about whether we will still have this thing that we love so much. How the same will it be? But regardless, an era has certainly ended, and a lot of the sort of mechanics of how games worked and how games felt when they were on TNT is ending. And a lot of good times, man. I'm sad to see it go.
I don't care.
What is right? You have no feelings.
I do have feelings.
You have no feelings.
But here's why I don't care. Here's the reason why I don't care. All the guys you mentioned, all the people you mentioned are going to be calling games next year. Like Kevin Harlan is going to be working. Is he with Amazon? He's going to be working there, I think.
I think so, yeah. I don't remember which.
Reggie Miller, I think, is going to NBC to call games.
Yeah.
Stan Van Gundy is going to Amazon. All these voices that gave this emotional sign-off at the end of the season, they're all coming back. We will see you in 4 months. Like, I do have sympathy for people behind the scenes that are not going to be part of this anymore. But at the same time, like, Inside the NBA is going to be produced by Turner. Like, that's presumably that production is going to remain intact. Like, and all these people, the cameramen, all the people that work there, they're going to wind up working for these other companies.
Cold man.
You have been in TV long enough that you probably have seen a cameraman while you're working at CNN, also at TNT, at ESPN.
By the way, yes, my entire career has now become a round robin of I work with you here, now I work with you there, and now I work with you there. Of course it has. I think Paul Pierce and I have worked together on 3 different networks at this point. In fact, I know we have. But that being said, each experience has been pretty different. When I worked with Paul Pierce at ESPN was different from when I worked with him at Showtime, is different from when I now work with him at Fox Sports. The vibe, the feel, what kind of TV we're producing, what conversations we're having, there is a tone set by the place you work, and I do think it is going to change. It's something that's ending. NBA on TNT was a thing for a long time. Craig Sager is no longer with us, which makes me very sad, and it is saying goodbye to a chapter that included him, and that makes me sad that is now forever closed. There are things that were unique to being there that are no longer. And I am curious about what's going to happen. Having worked in both places, I worked at Turner and I worked at ESPN, and I am very curious to see how much of a solo unit TNT can be, and Inside the NBA can be, rather, even though it's still produced down by Turner. Pat McAfee obviously is the example that people are using, as that show is fully produced in Indianapolis, actually, and just delivered to ESPN as a block and said, here, air this. And is that what's going to happen with TNT, or are there going to be...
Well, let's talk about that. Because,
is there going to be influence?
Inside the NBA is going to go over to ESPN next season.
Sorry, I keep saying TNT. I mean Inside, yes.
We don't know what form it's going to take and how often it's going to be used. Charles Barkley, God love him. Like, Charles is just such a great interview. Like, he goes on Dan Patrick like once every few weeks.
Yes.
And just lights his employers on fire.
Yes.
Like, I want to someday have Charles Barkley fuck you money. Like, I want that. I want to just be able to just say whatever I want. It's on my mind.
You don't do that now?
Not about my employers, I don't know. Subscribe to Sports Illustrated. Everybody, get out there. It's a great offer. $20 a year. Great offer. I'm curious to see what it looks like, because when Charles Barkley went on Dan Patrick this week, he said that they had just finished taping a pilot for Inside the NBA on TNT, not on ESPN, which would, I guess, be part of what they're going to do. They're going to produce an Inside the NBA show that's going to be on Turner 2/3 of the time, he said, without video rights. It'll maybe kind of be like Inside the NFL, which they'll do one of those with a Turner platform. And then he said 1/3 of the time they're going to be on ESPN. Like ESPN immediately after that interview did some damage control. They're like, no, we're going to bring them in. We're not going to mess with it. They talked to Front Office Sports about this. They did all the things that you would expect after Barkley lit the whole thing on fire. But I think it's worth asking, like, what is this show going to look like next year? Like, put yourself in Jimmy Pitaro's position or somebody in power at ESPN. Like, what do you do with Inside the NBA?
Well, if you're smart, you don't do anything with it. And that's one of the things Bill Simmons brought up too, I believe, on his podcast this week, is the commercial breaks.
Yes.
And having worked at both places, I can tell you they're very different. ESPN wants more commercials during those windows. They want more money to be coming in during those windows. So the ESPN
Maybe
halftime
now more
show,
than ever because they paid so much. For the NBA.
So the NBA on ESPN halftime shows have been very truncated, right? It's like 90 seconds in and out of like, okay, this is what happened. Okay, bye. One person comment, you comment, keep those short. Okay, bye. Now we're out, right? And I mean, half the time you can't even see the people on screen because it's covered by video, and then it's covered by a promo of sponsored by so-and-so, and then you're out, right? And that does not give the feel of, hey, I'm going to chat with my friends in the studio and hang out with Charles and Kenny and Shaq and the gang to see what's going on in the middle of this game. That is not conducive to that. So that's the first, it's an inside TV thing of what are the commercial breaks, but it's actually what is going to give that halftime show the feel of what we're used to or not. And it is going to be an interesting question if ESPN lets them have the airtime that made it the show that it was, or if they just want the money. So we'll have to see that. Other than that, if I'm ESPN, I am leaving the show completely in the hands of the people at Turner because...
Okay, but my question for you is, where would you slot it? Like, right now, Inside the NBA is the pregame show, it's the halftime show, it's the postgame show. The postgame show is really where it has its most strength, right?
Yeah.
Like, it has this forever... no time limit. Go on and say whatever you want, whenever you want, for however long as you want.
Yep.
Like ESPN right now, they have a studio show. Well, they have a NBA countdown show.
But that's pregame.
right.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about postgame.
I'm saying all three. Like,
okay.
Would you put Inside the NBA exactly as it is on like Fridays on ESPN, or would you just put them on postgames certain days?
Well, look, I'm not going to get into saying what shows on ESPN should or shouldn't exist because people are going to think that's personal with me, and it's not. Because, you know, I like, I am like every other basketball fan. I like Inside the NBA. I think it's fantastic. I want to see it as much as possible on whatever network it's on. So whether it's ESPN, NBC, Amazon, I'm not saying it should replace some other programming. Like, I just think that if you have that asset, no matter which network you were and it landed at ESPN, you should use it as much as you can because basketball fans love it. That's the answer to me. It's just a question of, are they going to let them do their thing? And are they going to let them have the TV time without the commercials to do it? I don't know.
Underdog is one of the best places to make picks during the basketball playoffs. Underdog is a leading place to make all your sports picks, and you can now play in your state. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? To play, all you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You could choose things like points, assists, and so much more. Once your pick feels good, you can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Well, the NBA Finals are right around the corner, so I am going with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to go over with his point total and Tyrese Halliburton to go over with his number of assists. Download the Underdog app and sign up with the promo code OPENFLOOR to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code OPENFLOOR. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. If anybody would want my opinion on this, which nobody should take, because I don't know.
Because you're a cruel, cold, unfeeling person who doesn't have emotions, apparently.
Networks changing hands. I care about the people. The people are still going to be working. The people are still going to be working. See you soon, Kevin Harlan. Stan, looking forward to watching you on Amazon. Amazon, quite frankly, is where Inside the NBA should be.
Yeah.
Like Amazon should have done this deal with Turner, where they license Inside the NBA and they use it exactly like it's being used now. Whatever day of the week Amazon has, 1-2 days, you put Inside the NBA on for that. You don't need to worry about commercials with Amazon. It's streaming. It's longer. It's free-flowing. They can say whatever the hell they want on Amazon. That's where it should have gone.
Yep.
If I'm ESPN, I never let Inside the NBA see a minute of linear TV. I think you keep linear TV exactly as it is. You keep the pregame show, the halftime show. Scott Van Pelt comes on afterwards to do his thing.
Right.
Keep everybody happy there. And you put Inside the NBA on your direct-to-consumer platform. Right? Like Inside the NBA would be the official pre, half, and post-game show of whatever DTC platform they've got. Flagship, whatever they're calling ESPN now.
They're just calling it ESPN.
You also stream it on Hulu. You stream it on all the streaming platforms. That's where Inside the NBA goes. I don't think that's a perfect solution either, because
I don't think it works financially.
Oh, aren't you trying to drive people to those platforms though? Isn't that the whole point? Didn't I hear streaming was the future? Aren't we? I work for DAZN, okay? Like I am a believer in streaming.
No, I am too, obviously. And by the way, anybody who works in media should be, to your point, but it is financially in this moment not where the money is to pay for that level of what they are paying for Inside the NBA.
But don't you think it's like bizarre to have like Wednesdays, we're going to have Malika, Bob, and Perk.
Are they?
Fridays.
Is that what they've decided?
I don't know.
I don't think we know yet. So I don't know. I mean, we have to kind of wait and see what they decide to do. What I'm more worried about as a fan is less about, is there another show on, or what's the internal whatever inside ESPN. As a fan, what I care about is, can I see Ernie, Shaq, Chuck, Kenny do the things that I want to see them do, frankly, in that Studio J with the board there and where the Christmas tree goes, and I want to see Underdog, and I want to see all the things that I'm used to seeing on that show. I want the funny memes. Yeah. We're coming in and out of commercial. They'll show a half tweet, a half meme thing that studio crew and Tim Kiley and the guys in the control room know how to do that, frankly, I've never seen any other TV show be able to master live in real time. I want all of that stuff. If that stuff exists, put it on. If you want to put it on my computer streaming, if you want to put it on my TV in a little box when I put up Apple TV and I have all my little boxes, if you want to put it on linear TV, I don't watch linear TV on TV that much anyway. I'm one of the people who watches it on my phone half the time. Wherever you want me to find it, I just want to be able to see that. And as long as, in this case, it's ESPN, the network that bought them doesn't mess with that, that's my hope as a basketball fan.
Isn't everything like, when was the last, do you own a cable box?
I own a DirecTV that I use through an app.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty funny.
You use internet. It's
internet. It's all the internet, yes.
Like I think it was 2018 when I got rid of my cable box.
Yeah.
So for like 7 years, I've been without a cable box.
Yeah.
Like everything's streaming now,
yeah.
Ultimately. You're watching linear TV via a streaming device. I don't know enough about the economics, but I wouldn't mix and match the Inside the NBA show with Countdown, with all. I just think it makes things too confusing. It gets things too cluttered. It opens ESPN up for criticism way too much. I would make those guys the centerpiece of your digital platform. Like they obviously believe that, and correctly, that DTC is the future. That ESPN eventually, 10 years from now, is only going to be streamed. We're down to like 60 million homes for linear TV.
No, I mean,
like
it's
dwindling
high.
by the day. Cord cutting is real. I would put it all on DTC. I would go that direction. We'll see where they go. And I do agree with you. First and foremost, it's got to be the same exact show. But I'm not sure you can do the kind of show they do post-game on linear TV with all the breaks and with the rules even that can you say this, can you say that?
Well, the rules are the same. They're operating under the same. ESPN and TBS or TNT don't have different
they bend
rules.
Them, though. Like
well, look, there's a we are a Disney company ethos
the mouse,
at ESPN where you're supposed to be more family friendly, but I think in general they're operating under the same level of humor, especially at 11 o'clock at night or midnight. I don't think there's some like tight leash at ESPN of, oh my God, I can't believe he said that, as long as it does not run afoul of the federal trade, FTC or whatever it is. But I mean,
can you call all women in San Antonio fat on ESPN?
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, one would argue you shouldn't be able to do that on TNT either, Charles. So, I mean, look, again, are they going to be able to keep it as it is? Is ESPN giving up the post-game real estate? Is Scott Van Pelt not going to be on post-game anymore? I don't know what the politics or the agreement he has with the network. I don't know if during football season, do you want SportsCenter on actually post-game? Because the truth is a lot of people still want to hear about what's going on, even if it's after a basketball game. They want to know what's going on in the NFL. Is that show then going to be short? Is Inside only going to be a half hour after the game? And then in which case can they really get to the back of the show stuff where they really do most of the goofy stuff? And then is the second half going to be SportsCenter? I don't know what they're going to do there. So I'm interested like everybody else is. And I think that's why there has been some sadness over this, to wrap it back up to your cold, cruel heart over the end of TNT. Because yes, these guys, the broadcasters will be at other networks. The guys who call the games will be scattered, but we won't have the teams and the guys, the conversations that we're used to. And then, yeah, in theory, Inside the NBA is just being packaged and gone to ESPN. But the truth is we don't know what that's going to look and feel like. And it probably will look and feel different in a couple years than it does at the beginning. And so all of that means something is ending.
I'm excited to watch Rizzoli and Isles on Thursdays.
Castle,
on
man.
Castle.
So when I worked at
Thursday nights.
when I worked at TNT, one of the big questions was, could you outrate the Castle rerun? And shockingly, a lot of times, Inside the NBA, as beloved as it is,
couldn't outrate it.
did not.
Well, not to go too far astray here, but this is why boxing got bounced off HBO, because HBO was looking around going, why are we paying $10 million for this fight card when we could put a rerun of Game of Thrones and draw the exact same audience or better? Like that's always the danger. Castle does that well.
Castle does well.
All right. Never really get into Castle.
Yeah, no,
big
me
Rizzoli
neither.
and Isles guys.
Yeah, well, really?
Angie Harmon. That was a big fan. Big fan. All right. Let's finally get to the NBA
Kevin Harlan, no.
finals.
Angie Herman, yes.
Kevin Harlan, no. Angie Harmon. Absolutely.